The Galactic Council Hall was silent. It was a place built to show power. Tall pillars of crystal and metal rose high into the air. Floating lights moved slowly above the floor. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in a wide circle, watching the center of the hall. In that center stood a human child. She was small. Too small for this place. Her hands were tied, but she stood straight. Her eyes moved around the room, trying to understand where she was. She could not read the alien symbols on the walls. She could not understand the strange voices whispering around her. Her name was Lena. She was 12 years old. She had been taken from a human colony world near the edge of galactic space. The council said it was legal. They said humans had broken ancient laws. They said an example had to be made. Lena did not know any of that. She only knew she was scared. A tall alien figure stepped forward. Its voice echoed across the hall. "Humanity has ignored our warnings," it said. "They expand without permission. They build without approval. They believe themselves equal." Murmurs spread through the council. Another council member spoke. "The law is clear. When a species disobeys, a symbol must be destroyed." The word symbol echoed like a cold blade. Lena looked up. She did not cry. She did not scream. She searched the room, hoping to see a human face. There was one. Far away, behind a barrier of light, a human ambassador stood. His hands were shaking. His mouth was open, shouting words the council refused to translate. "Stop this," he begged. "She is a child. She has done nothing." The council did not look at him. A judge drone floated down, its surface glowing with blue energy. Lines of light formed around Lena's feet. She finally understood. "This is wrong," she whispered. The sound barely reached anyone. The presiding counselor raised one clawed hand. "Let this execution remind humanity of its place," the human ambassador screamed. The light flared, and the child was gone. No blood, no noise, just empty space where a life had been. For one full second, the galaxy changed. On a distant blue world called Earth, alarms began to sound. In human space stations, screens flashed red. In military command rooms, officers froze as a single message appeared across every system. Execution confirmed. Subject: human minor. Status: deceased. The message carried a data echo, a final heartbeat, a child's last breath. Across Earth, people stopped moving. In cities, trains slowed. Conversations ended. Screens turned dark. Parents hugged their children without knowing why. Soldiers stared at the floor. Leaders said nothing. For the first time in centuries, Earth was silent. The human ambassador fell to his knees inside the council hall. Guards dragged him away as the council began to talk again, already bored with what they had done. "To be clear," one member said calmly, "this is not an act of war," the others agreed. They believed humanity would protest, shout, perhaps fight a small, weak war. Humans always did. They were wrong. On Earth, deep below mountains and oceans, doors opened that had not moved in hundreds of years. Old machines woke up. Ancient human systems, built long before the Council existed, received a single command: remove limiters. Satellites changed orbit. Shipyards, long thought abandoned, lit up with power. Human fleets did not move toward alien borders. They moved inward. Back to Earth, observers across the galaxy noticed something strange. Human communication channels went dark. Trade ships vanished from known routes. Human colonies locked their defenses and cut contact. The council laughed. "They hide," one member said. "They fear us." But in deep space, something massive shifted. A signal passed through the void. Not fast, not loud, heavy, old, final. It reached the core human worlds and stopped. Then it changed direction and moved outward, back toward the council. On Earth, a small memorial appeared on a quiet street. No announcement, no crowd. Just a name etched into stone. Lena Carter, age 12. A single human general stood before it. His face showed no anger, only resolve. "They killed a child," he said softly. Around him, the world listened. And for the first time in galactic history, humanity prepared not for war, but for judgment. The galaxy waited for Earth to shout. It waited for angry speeches, demands for justice, and threats of war. That was how things always went. When smaller races were punished, they cried. When stronger ones were challenged, they roared. Humanity did neither. Hours passed after the execution. Then days. The Galactic Council monitored every human channel. There were no broadcasts. No protests. No ships rushing toward Council space. Nothing. To the Council, this silence felt like victory. "They have learned fear," one counselor said. "They will return to their borders and behave." Trade resumed between alien worlds. Council fleets returned to patrol routes. The execution of the child faded from discussion. To them, it was finished business. But not everyone felt calm. Independent traders noticed human cargo ships were gone. Entire trade lanes emptied overnight. Human embassies closed without explanation. Their lights went dark, doors sealed, staff vanished. On the outer edges of space, long-range sensors picked up strange energy readings, short pulses, deep and slow, like a heartbeat. Analysts could not trace the source. At first, no one cared. On Earth, silence ruled. Cities still functioned. Power grids held steady. People went to work. Children went to school. But something had changed. News networks stopped arguing. Social feeds went quiet. No jokes. No noise. Only one story repeated again and again. A child had died. In a secure underground chamber beneath the Himalayas, Earth's leaders gathered. There were no flags, no cameras, no speeches, just people. A woman in a dark uniform stood at the center of the room. Her hair was gray, her face calm. "Status," she said. A man at the console answered. "All human fleets have returned to controlled space. No contact with alien powers. All colonial defenses are active. Public reaction? Controlled. Grief, anger, but no panic." She nodded. "Proceed," she said. Across Earth, old systems woke. In deserts, beneath oceans, inside mountains, hidden shipyards powered on. Massive doors slid open. Dock lights flared for the first time in centuries. Ships began to move. They were not the sleek vessels the galaxy knew. These were older, heavier, built when humans believed survival required strength, not approval. Their hulls were dark, scarred, marked with human symbols long forgotten. Above Mars, an ancient human station reactivated. Its AI core dormant for hundreds of years came online. Identity confirmed, humanity under threat, protocol, final shepherd. Across deep space, Council observers noticed stars flicker. Entire systems went dark for seconds at a time, then returned. Scientists blamed solar storms. They were wrong. Human ships were passing through places no one thought possible. They did not use known jump lanes. They bent space itself. The Council finally took notice when one of its patrol fleets failed to report. A small fleet. Routine mission, gone, no debris, no signal, just empty space. An emergency meeting was called. "The humans are moving," an advisor said. "But we cannot see them," the Council laughed. "They hide in shadows," a leader replied. "Fear makes them quiet." Another advisor hesitated. "Their fleet patterns do not show retreat. They are positioning." That word caused silence. Positioning was what predators did before striking. The Council ordered deeper scans. Their sensors failed. At the same time, on a human command ship orbiting Earth, a projection filled the air. A map of the galaxy appeared, glowing blue. Red lights marked Council worlds. The human commanders watched in silence. A younger officer finally spoke. "We could warn them," the gray-haired woman shook her head. "They were warned," she said. "They chose a child." A timer appeared on the projection. 72 hours. No explanation, no label. Across the galaxy, fear began to spread. Civilian worlds reported strange dreams. Old myths resurfaced. Stories of humans from long ago, humans who ended wars not with conquest, but disappearance. Ancient alien archives unlocked on their own, revealing erased records. Entire civilizations missing from history. All linked to one name, humanity. The Council tried to send a message to Earth, no reply. They sent another, silence. Then, without warning, a single human signal reached every major galactic network. No image, no voice. Only text, "You judged without mercy. Now you will be judged without escape." The message ended. At the edge of Council space, reality folded. Human ships emerged, hundreds of them, silent, massive, unstoppable. And for the first time since the Council was formed, Its leaders felt something unfamiliar, fear, because Earth had not gone quiet out of weakness. Earth had gone quiet because it was done asking. The first human ships did not attack. They appeared at the edges of council space like silent shadows, massive, dark. Still, they blocked trade routes without firing a shot. They cut off communication lanes without destroying a single relay. The galaxy began to choke. Merchants were stranded. Messages arrived late or not at all. Whole systems felt isolated, as if the stars themselves were pulling away. The Galactic Council demanded answers. None came. Instead, something far worse happened. Human history began to surface. Across neutral worlds, ancient data vaults unlocked by themselves. Records thought corrupted suddenly played in perfect clarity. Images spread through the galactic networks, uncensored and raw. They showed humanity's past. Not the weak, limited species the Council believed it had controlled, but something older, stronger, more dangerous. The records showed early human expansion, human fleets stopping wars between alien species, human diplomats forcing peace where empires had failed. Then the records showed fear, alien leaders speaking in secret chambers. Humans were growing too fast, learning too much, refusing to bow. The decision was made long ago. Control them. Limit them, and if necessary, remove them. The truth was clear. The Council had not punished humanity for breaking laws. It had punished humanity for refusing to be lesser. Inside the Council chambers, panic spread. "These records are false," one counselor shouted, but no one believed it. The data came from Council archives themselves. Human ships continued to move closer, still no attacks, still no threats. That was what terrified the galaxy most. On Earth, the Human Command Council met again. The gray-haired woman stood before a projection of the galaxy. Red markers blinked slowly. "We are being watched," an officer said. "The galaxy is afraid." "They should be," she replied. A younger commander hesitated. "If we go further, there's no return," she looked at him. And there was no return when they killed a child. Far beyond Council space, something ancient stirred. A human AI system, older than most alien civilizations, completed its awakening. It had no emotion, only memory. It remembered when humanity nearly destroyed itself. It remembered the promise humans made after surviving their own darkness. Never again. That promise had limits, and the Council had crossed them. The AI sent a signal, not an order. A confirmation. Protocol judgment. Active, back in Council space, the first world vanished. There was no explosion, no warning. One moment, a Council-controlled system existed. The next, it did not. Stars dimmed and collapsed into silence. Planets folded into nothing. Satellites disappeared mid-orbit. The galaxy froze. Sensors showed no debris, no radiation, no death screams. It was as if the system had never been born. A counselor collapsed into their seat. This is impossible," a human message appeared across all remaining Council systems. "This is erasure," it said. "You used it first?" The Council tried to respond. They begged. They threatened. They offered surrender. The message did not change. "You killed innocents to prove authority," it continued. "We remove authority to protect innocence." Human ships advanced again. Faster now. Council fleets tried to intercept. They failed. Weapons refused to fire. Navigation systems rewrote themselves. Ships turned away against their crew's will. Human technology did not fight alien systems. It overruled them. A Council military commander whispered, "They're inside our machines." "They always were," another replied. Across the galaxy, neutral worlds watched in horror and awe. Some celebrated. Others prayed. Many simply recorded everything, knowing history was being rewritten. The truth finally became clear. Humanity had never shown its full strength, not because it lacked power, but because it feared what would happen if it used it. Now that fear was gone. The gray-haired woman watched as another Council system blinked out. An officer beside her swallowed. "How many?" She answered quietly. "Only those responsible. What about the rest of the galaxy?" She looked at the image of the human child, Lena, displayed silently at the edge of the room. "That depends on what they learn." Back in Council space, the remaining leaders gathered for one final emergency session. The chamber felt smaller now, emptier, one voice broke. "We were wrong," it said. "We thought humans were animals pretending to be equals." Silence followed. Then a human transmission filled the hall. No anger, no shouting, just cold clarity. "You thought restraint was weakness," the voice said. "You thought mercy was fear." The image changed. It showed Earth, alive, bright, protected. "We limited ourselves," the voice continued, "so the galaxy could survive us." The council finally understood the truth. Humanity was not angry, it was disappointed. And disappointment from a species like this was far worse than rage. The transmission ended. Human ships closed in on the council core worlds. And the galaxy realized too late, the real punishment had not even begun. The first council core world was not destroyed by weapons, it was erased by choice. From orbit, human ships surrounded the planet in perfect silence. No engines flared. No shields glowed. They simply existed like dark thoughts hanging over the sky. On the surface, council citizens looked up and felt something wrong. The air felt heavy. Communications flickered. Gravity shifted for a single second, just enough to make people stumble. Then the sky changed. Stars dimmed, one by one, as if the universe was closing its eyes. Inside the council command bunker, leaders screamed orders. Fleets were launched in panic. Emergency shields activated. Ancient defense platforms powered on for the first time in centuries. Nothing worked. Human technology ignored resistance. Reality itself began to fold. Mountains flattened. Oceans pulled inward. Cities stretched and vanished like smoke in the wind. There was no pain, no fire, no screams. One moment the world existed. The next moment it didn't. The galaxy felt it. Across thousands of systems, sensors spiked and died. Astrophysicists stared at empty screens, unable to understand what had happened. A council world, one of the oldest, had been removed from existence. Human ships moved on. On neutral worlds, panic erupted. Governments collapsed overnight. Civilian ships fled in every direction. Old alliances broke apart as races scrambled to protect themselves. One question echoed everywhere. Who decides who disappears next? The humans answered without words. Another transmission spread through the galaxy. "We are not here to conquer," it said. "We are here to correct." On Earth, public silence finally broke, not with riots, not with celebration. With remembrance, across cities, people gathered in quiet places. Candles were lit, names were spoken. The name of a human child, unknown to most of the galaxy, became known everywhere. Lena, she had become a symbol. Not of revenge, but of the line that had been crossed. Back in space, a council fleet finally managed to fire. Energy beams struck a human cruiser. They vanished before impact. The fleet fired again, their weapons shut down. Then their ships began to drift. Human command did not celebrate. The gray-haired woman watched the battle report without expression. "Any casualties?" she asked. "None," an officer replied. "Human or otherwise," she nodded. "Proceed to the next phase." Deep beneath the human flagship, a system activated that had never been used in war before. It was not a bomb. It was a mirror. The system targeted council archives across the galaxy. Every crime, every erased species, every quiet execution carried out under the council's authority. Truth flooded the networks. The galaxy watched footage of children taken from their homes, worlds sanctioned into starvation. Cultures slowly erased through laws and sanctions. The council had not kept peace. It had enforced silence. Entire races realized they had been slowly dying under council rule. Anger spread faster than fear. Rebellions ignited. Council supply lines were cut not by humans but by former allies. The council was losing control everywhere at once. In the ruins of a council station, a surviving leader whispered, "They didn't destroy us first." "No," another replied. "They let the galaxy see us." Human ships continued their advance, but now they were no longer alone. Neutral fleets moved aside. Some even escorted them. The galaxy was choosing. A final council message was sent to Earth. "We surrender," it said. "End this," the reply came quickly. "You cannot surrender justice." Another core world vanished. This time, the galaxy understood the pattern. Only worlds directly tied to the execution order were erased. Only those who had voted, enforced, or hidden the crime. Precision, cold, absolute. A human officer spoke quietly on the flagship. We could end them all. The gray-haired woman looked at the stars. That is not who we are, she said. That is who they feared we might become. She turned away. Finish the council. Leave the galaxy. The final council chamber fell into chaos as human ships arrived above it. Leaders tried to flee. Space folded, their escape routes vanished. A final transmission echoed through the chamber. This is not revenge, the human voice said. This is removal. The chamber faded. Across the galaxy, silence followed, then relief. Then something new, hope. Because for the first time in galactic history, power had acted not to rule, but to protect. Human ships began to withdraw, not chased. Not attacked, watched, respected, feared. On Earth, the gray-haired woman stood alone, looking at the stars. Lena, she whispered, they will remember you. And somewhere in the quiet universe, history took a sharp turn. Because the galaxy had learned the final truth about humanity. When humans fight, they do not rage, they decide. What happens after the giants fall, when the last council world vanished, the galaxy did not celebrate. It held its breath. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council had been the center of power. Laws, trade, borders, wars, everything passed through it. Even those who hated the council depended on it. Now it was gone, and the silence it left behind was terrifying. Across former council space, systems drifted without guidance. Defense fleets stood down, unsure who they now served. Bureaucrats locked themselves inside stations, waiting for orders that would never come. Some worlds erupted into chaos. Others went quiet. But all of them looked toward one place, Earth. Human ships did not stay. They withdrew slowly, deliberately. No victory parades. No declarations of rule. One by one, the massive vessels folded space and vanished, returning to human territory. That confused everyone. They destroyed the council, alien leaders whispered. Why do they not take its place? The answer came days later. A human transmission reached every major system, neutral, former council, and independent alike. This time there was an image. A simple room. A single human woman sat at a plain table, no weapons. No guards, no symbols of power behind her. We are not your rulers, she said calmly. We never wanted to be. Her eyes were tired, but steady. The council believed peace required control. We do not, the image shifted. Old council borders faded away, trade routes unlocked, sanctions vanished. Artificial restrictions collapsed. You are free to govern yourselves, she continued. Free to fail? Free to succeed? A pause? But understand this. The room seemed colder. We will not allow another council, the transmission ended. Across the galaxy, reactions exploded. Some worlds cheered, some panicked, some feared what freedom truly meant. Without the council, ancient grudges resurfaced. Border disputes reignited. Old enemies stared at each other across newly unguarded space, but something unexpected happened. Human ships remained nearby, not threatening, watching. When a former council enforcer tried to take control of a neighboring system by force, their fleet shut down mid-jump. No weapons fired, no damage done. Just stopped. A quiet message followed. Do not repeat their mistakes. The galaxy began to understand. Humanity was not replacing the council. It was replacing the idea of unchecked power. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Schools reopened fully, markets buzzed again. But something had changed in people's eyes. They were quieter, more focused. The name Lena was etched into memory not as a cry for war, but as a reminder of cost. In a small memorial garden, children placed flowers beneath a simple stone, no titles, no dates. Just a name, Lena, far from Earth, in a neutral system, alien leaders gathered. No council chamber, no hierarchy. Just representatives sitting in a circle? This cannot last, one said nervously. Without a central authority, war will come, another replied. Then maybe we should learn not to depend on tyrants. A third spoke softly. Or on humans. The room fell silent. They all knew the truth. Humanity could destroy them, but had chosen not to. That choice changed everything. Deep within human space, the ancient AI monitored the galaxy. It tracked conflicts, alliances, and population growth. Threat levels remained low. For now, on the flagship that had led the erasure, the gray-haired woman prepared to step down. Her mission was complete. An officer approached her. "Do you think they learned?" She looked out at the stars. "Some will," she said. "Some won't, and if they don't," she smiled faintly. "Then they will learn later," the officer hesitated. "Will we ever be forgiven?" She turned to him. "We are not seeking forgiveness." A pause. "We are setting boundaries." Months passed. The galaxy stabilized. New alliances formed, smaller, fairer, temporary by design. Trade resumed without council taxes. Cultures once erased began to rebuild. Humanity did not interfere. Unless someone crossed the line, and everyone now knew where that line was. In a distant system, a young alien child watched human ships pass by for the first time. They were smaller now, less threatening. "More like guardians than monsters. What are they?" the child asked. The elder beside them answered carefully. "They are the ones who stopped the silence." Back on Earth, the gray-haired woman visited the memorial one last time. She placed a flower. "Rest," she whispered. The galaxy heard you. Above her, the stars shone quietly. Humanity had not claimed the universe, but it had changed it forever. Because the galaxy had learned a truth no council ever understood. When humans are pushed too far, they do not seek power. They remove those who abuse it. Years passed. The galaxy did not forget. Every race marked time differently, but there came a moment when historians agreed life was now divided into before and after the fall of the council, before power ruled, after memory did. Across former council space, new civilizations grew carefully. No empire rose too fast. No fleet expanded without watching the stars first. Leaders spoke softer. Laws were debated longer. Because everyone remembered what happened when authority forgot mercy, humanity stayed distant. Earth did not demand tribute. Human fleets did not patrol foreign space. Trade resumed slowly, fairly, without pressure, but humans never disappeared. They were always present. Sometimes a human ship appeared near a conflict zone, stayed silent, then left. Wars ended soon after. No one ever admitted why. On one distant world, a new interstellar academy opened. Alien children from many races studied history together. One lesson was mandatory for all. The Lena event, the teacher did not show battle footage. No explosions, no erased worlds. Only a small image, a human child. And the story of a council that believed law mattered more than life. Why didn't the humans rule us after? One student asked. The teacher paused. Because, she said, they know ruling is easy. Restraint is hard. On Earth, the gray-haired woman lived quietly now. She had refused statues, refused titles. She lived near the sea, walking every morning, watching waves rise and fall. One day, a visitor came. A young human officer, nervous but proud. "The Galaxy Council, what replaced it? They want advice," he said. "They say humans understand power better than anyone," she smiled sadly. "Tell them," she replied, "we understand loss." The officer hesitated. "Do you regret it?" She looked toward the horizon. "No," she said softly. "But I mourn it." The officer nodded and left. That night, the ancient human AI recorded a final status update. Threat level, stable protocol judgment. Dormant, status. Humanity restrained, it did not shut down. It waited. Elsewhere, deep in uncharted space, a hidden species observed the galaxy. They had watched the council rise. Watched it fall. They had feared humanity once. Now they respected it. One of their elders spoke. "The humans are dangerous," it said. Another replied, "Yes, because they choose not to be." That was the difference. Back on Earth, children learned the story too. But it was told differently, not as a tale of power. As a lesson. Teachers spoke of Lena as someone whose life mattered, not because she was human, but because she was innocent. She reminded us, one teacher said, what lines must never be crossed. Years later, a new generation rose across the galaxy. They grew up without council laws choking them, without fear of silent erasure. They grew up knowing something watched the stars. Not a god, Not an empire. Humans, the galaxy learned, were not monsters, they were guardians with limits. In a distant system, a war nearly began between two young powers. Fleets gathered, weapons charged. Then a single human ship appeared. No message. No threat. Just presence. The fleet stood down. Peace followed. Historians would later write, "The greatest weapon humanity ever used was not erasure. It was restraint after erasure." On the anniversary of the Council's fall, Earth held no celebrations. Only silence, candles, and names. The gray-haired woman stood at the memorial one last time before leaving the city forever. The stone was worn now, touched by many hands. She placed a flower and whispered, "They learned." Above her, the stars remained steady. The galaxy would never be perfect. Humans knew that better than anyone. But it would never again be ruled by those who believed power excused cruelty. Because once a child was executed, and humanity answered, not with rage, not with conquest, but with judgment so final, so precise, that the universe itself paused to remember. And from that day forward, every species understood one simple truth: if you harm the innocent, humanity will not argue. Humanity will not threaten. Humanity will decide. And that decision will echo forever. And they never forget the innocent.